Good afternoon, and welcome to another I-Team investigation. I'm Nicholas Dorsey.
And I'm Ruby Q.
In this investigation, we'll be looking at the boom in immigration across the Midwest. You don't have to look far to see that's causing major transformations in cities everywhere. In the past decade, Cincinnati has witnessed some major modifications. Mount Adams has experienced some of the most significant changes. The large influx of migrants into the area has led to the development of Little Venezuela. Growing out of the hillside, Little Venezuela has become a refuge and sanctuary for all migrants. So much so, the mayor has declared Cincinnati a sanctuary city. Now feeling welcomed and accepted, locals in Little Venezuela are now planning new churches, markets, and housing to meet the needs of the rapidly growing community. If all this was happening in Cincinnati, was it also happening all across the Midwest? Or other sanctuary cities in the Midwest experiencing similar situations? Ruby and I then remembered an old news story we covered about Garden City, Kansas. And with the story years ago, Garden City was considered the most tolerant and diverse town in the Midwest. And so we decided to go see what life was like in Garden City. Along the way, we decided to investigate how migrants were living across the Midwest. It didn't take long before we realized there was something else happening. Our first clue came from an old discarded book found on the side of the road. On the outside, it didn't look like much or anything out of the ordinary. However, upon closer examination, it became apparent that it was an instruction booklet of sorts, but we wouldn't think much of it until later. The next oddity we came across was we found a canoe disguised as a part of a tree stump. We recognized such a thing from the booklet we discovered recently. However, its purpose at the time was still a mystery. It wasn't until we came to a rest area that things started to make sense. We had stumbled upon different aspects of a new underground railroad. This new Underground Railroad 2.0 was set to move migrants from sanctuary city to sanctuary city, free from persecution and harassment. Rest areas had become a way station for those on the journey, provided food, shelter, and money for them to continue their journey. Now realizing this was the life of some migrants, we began to wonder if Garden City would be like what we had remembered.
Garden City in Kansas is known for its open policies to immigrants, and it is also one of the first sanctuary cities in the Midwest. When we were driving down to Garden City, we saw many greenhouse buildings along the country road. They look like normal greenhouses, but we saw stuff like basketball field that doesn't seem to fit in. So we decided to fly the drone to see what is going on. To our surprise, this city, or shall I say the whole Kansas state, is filled with crop circles. What is more interesting is when we flew the drone closer, we can see the greenhouse buildings popping up around the crop circles. The density of the buildings changes with the road condition. In place where the road does not interfere around the crop circles, there are more buildings located along the outside perimeters of the crop circles, which make it look like a community center or some sort. Here is another interesting drone shot we got. So what appears to us, passengers driving by, as greenhouses, may not actually are greenhouses, especially the one in the center with a big cross opening on the facade. So we decided to investigate this case further by visiting Joe's house, where all of our questions were answered. Joe is a local farmer in Phoenix County. He showed us a spec sheet for the irrigation system wheels. With the demand for food increased, farming industry went through a revolution by having giant wheels for the irrigation system. Now farmers can plant crops much efficiently by customizing the combination of different sizes of wheels. While farmers trying to grow more plants using these giant wheels, immigrants see the deep trenches created by the wheels as a safe way to move around from cities to cities. Joe shared us with this map. It shows how immigrants navigate through the crop circles to different directions. After Garden City became the sanctuary city, Joe and other farmers see it as an opportunity to help the immigrants settle in by renting out the unused space in their crop field. He told us most of the immigrants are coming from Latin America, where going to church is an important activity in their life. So they started to build church right next to the outside perimeters of the crop circles. Church are the beacon through their journey moving in the crop circles. Immigrants could see the big cross miles away when they were in the trenches. Once they reached the church, they could go through an underground water tunnel to reach the basement of church. Joe even showed us a drawing how they designed the church. Immigrants arrived at the basement level and going upstairs to worship in the church. The facade angle is specifically designed to have natural light shine at the platform where the holy statue is placed. Soon after the church is built, public markets showed up near the church as their second popular activity in Latin American culture. Here is a photo we took when Joe gave us a tour to his crop field. He introduced to us at first the public market were used as a rest area where the immigrants could trade food or supplies during their journey in the crop circles. But now, since more and more immigrants are settling in the community, the public market becomes more community-centered. With more immigrants moving in the community, they started to build schools near the church. Joe explained, education is highly valued in Latin American culture. He invited us to one of the classrooms where we saw a kindergarten set up with greenhouse at the back of the classroom. Joe said learning horticulture is becoming part of their school program now that they are living in the crop circles. Now we can see a fully organized community being built along the crop circles with more houses. Joe kindly asked Santiago, an immigrant in the community, to give us a tour of his house. Santiago explained to us his family only live on the first floor, and they are sharing the second floor with their neighbors. The second floor is used as greenhouse, where they could grow plants and sell it to pay rent. Santiago also took us to his rooftop garden, where he can sit back and enjoy the beautiful sunset every day.
I enjoy my new life here in the crop circles. I didn't regret a bit moving down here, and I look forward to see how our community could grow in the future.
Now Nicholas is joining us to share what life is like in Garden City with all these immigrants moving in.
But it wasn't just in the rural areas where agriculture was changing. As we finally entered into Garden City, we discovered fields being subdivided. These subdivisions were created to grow a larger variety of crops that Hispanic migrants deemed as an important aspect of their way of life. Most of the time, these occurred at a large scale in traditional farms. But there were other times that this occurred right in the middle of neighborhoods. Entire swaths of land were taken and used to make giant, large-scale community gardens. When the fields couldn't grow the tropical fruits and vegetables desired, residents turned to the silos. Silos, becoming obsolete with autonomous delivery and transport vehicles, became ideal for large-scale vertical greenhouses. Some communities went further and salvaged and converted old silos into community greenhouses. Silos found a new life, providing the foodstuffs essential to many migrants' diets. The new variety of available crops were used in several of the local establishments. Even large international chains realized how diverse Garden City had become and decided to offer products aimed specifically at the Hispanic migrants. It was more than just a new marketing campaign. They adjusted their menus and workstations just to meet the needs of the new demographics. But it wasn't just food that Hispanic migrants had made adjustments and changes in the community. Migrants turned to self-use storm shelters and converted them into places of play and sport. In this example, we found the strong structural walls worked wonderfully for creating a highlight court. And the facades of buildings themselves changed. Using bright paints was more than just decoration. Murals were used to showcase the community's heritage and culture. Murals were used to remember community members. And murals were used to express the community values and ideologies. Looking down Main Street in Garden City, it's hard to recognize the small Midwestern town we had visited years ago. So much has changed. It makes us wonder how many towns in the Midwest have undergone similar transformations. And what about the farms and fields of the Midwest? Will they continue to evolve into spaces for more than just food production? And sometime in the all near to future, will all of this become the new normal?